Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would do a video about my husband and I's age difference. Okay, first I want to say I'm trying to grow out my eyebrows because I'm living in like the 90s eyebrows where they were super thin and small. And for the last like 3 or 4 months I've been trying to get them to grow out a little bit, and it's working and then it's not, and then they look a little better in person than they do on camera, and sometimes when I rewatch my videos, like, that's the only thing I look at. So now that I say that, you guys are going to look at them and judge me about that, but that's okay. Also, I just got over my period, so I still have some, like, breakouts on my face, so also ignore that. So, also, I've gone, like, 2 weeks or 3 weeks without putting mascara on, so I look a little strange. But that's how it's going to be. Anyways, okay, so there is a 13-year age gap between my husband and I. And, of course, it's, like, no big deal to us. But I kind of want to just talk about it, answer some questions that people always ask me and us. And just kind of let you know how we meet and how the dynamic of our relationship is different. Because there is definitely a difference between my relationship with him and my previous serious relationships before him. And it obviously has to do with just how our personalities mesh together. But the age difference has a lot to do with that. And here's my dog. And he's just really needy tonight. So he might be making a couple appearances to say hi. Okay, get down, get down. Okay, so I'll start off by how we met. This video isn't going to be super long, but it's got some information on it. So if you are in a relationship with someone who's older than you, or you're starting to talk to someone who's older than you, or there's a big age gap, there's a lot of fears that go along with it. I think there was for me at least, and just wondering how people are going to take it, and trying to figure out yourself if you think it's weird or not. So I'll kind of let you in on our situation. It turned out great, obviously, because we're married. Also, I don't know what my hair is doing. Anyways. Okay, so I met Jerry when I had just turned 21. When I met him, he was 34. Yeah, where's your ball? Go get it. He was 34, and okay, so I'll start it from the beginning. So there was one day where my friend and I went to the mall in Springfield, and I always park in the exact same place every time I go to the mall. And we had parked in that place before. We were walking in, and Jerry had, at the time is when he had his Camaro, a newer Camaro. And he had just got out of his Camaro, and I looked at my friend and I was like, ooh, look at that hot cowboy that just got out of the Camaro. Like, we kind of joked about it a little bit, because to this day, Jerry wears Wrangler jeans, boots, usually a pearl snap shirt, and at that point was when he was wearing his black felt cowboy hat a lot. So he just looked like the man that I pictured in my head that I would end up with, or I'd ever want to be with, was exactly what I saw. He's like 6'3" or 6'4", just built really nice. He's super yummy, or he is to me. He's very yummy. So I'd made that joke. We kept walking. He like fell in like right behind us. And that day I was in like jeans and boots and like a camo hoodie, and my hair was in this, whatever you want to call it, on top of my head. I mean, I looked like I just rolled out of bed, because I did. So we kept walking in, and there were 2 sets of automatic, like, sliding open doors that gauge when you're in front of it. So the first set had slid open, obviously, and I was turned around talking to my friend Amanda while walking through the second set. Well, I don't know if it just didn't pick up movement or something, but those doors did not open. And I walked right into the door, like, I mean, to the point where it probably hurt me, but I was so embarrassed that I just overlooked the pain. And I do not... Side note, I do not get embarrassed very easily. And I was embarrassed, but I wasn't, because I just like brushed that stuff off and it's no big deal. So by that point, Jerry was just a couple feet behind us and had obviously seen me do that. And, you know, I look back and I wish I knew what he said, but he mouthed something funny and we all just kind of laughed and like kept walking. Okay, so that happened. Forward to the next day. At that point in my life, I'd been single for over a year, and that I'd come out of a long relationship, and then before that one I was in a relationship. So this was the first time I was really just like single and by myself. So I was going out with my friends. I was really having a good time. I was just loving life. I was loving who I was. I was happy by myself. I was independent again, because I feel like when you're in relationships, especially toxic ones, it just overtakes your personality and you just kind of lose yourself. So I was super happy. I was good. So that next day, I was with the same friend, and we were going to a country bar club in Springfield. And here's another one of my animals that is so neat. Look at this cute little face. Oh my gosh. Okay. We had went to the club, and I lived right down the road. And we had someone take us and drop us off. We got a taxi, but we had pre-gamed at my house, and I was feeling fun and got there. I was a little intoxicated, I will say that. Oh my gosh, Tom. Big old. What is your issue? Okay, so, oh my god. Okay, Tom. You know, all my animals are just like needing me right now. Okay, yeah. So we walk in, and her boyfriend at the time was playing pool with Jerry. Like, what are the odds? I know, it's so hilarious. So, the pool tables are kind of like in the back of the building. So we walk back there. When I saw him, I like recognized him obviously. And he was like, said something along the lines of like, oh yeah, you were the one who ran into the door yesterday. And I was like, yeah, it's funny seeing you here. And we just kind of like hit it off immediately, and then kind of did our own things the whole night. But a little bit later in the night, I had taken his hat and was like wearing it around, and like her and I would go two-step and dance and stuff, and I'd have his hat on, and we didn't talk a whole lot that night. It was just kind of like fun and no big deal. So at the end of the night, I obviously gave him his hat back. Not a whole lot was said. There was just a lot going on because we were at the bar. And so I went home. Amanda went home with her boyfriend. I just still can't get over the coincidence of that. Like, the next day, we go to the bar, and her boyfriend is playing pool with him. Like, meant to be. Okay, so forward to a couple days later, Jerry had actually messaged Amanda on Facebook and said, hey, I just wanted to say if your friend's interested in going out, give her my number. Here it is. So she screenshotted it, texted it to me, along with the words, she was like, he's really old, but I just figured I'd give it to you anyways out of obligation. And I laughed so hard at that. And to be honest, I kind of just brushed it off. I was like, oh, okay, we'll see. Like, maybe. So because I knew how old he was, and that kind of, it didn't turn me off, but it kind of made me a little bit nervous, because I'd always dated people within like 1 to 2 years of my age, like younger or older. So I was like, oh, I don't know, we'll see. So one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to message him. I'm going to text him. So I texted him, and this was about a week before we hung out for the first time. And at that time, he was a truck driver. So he was usually always gone during the week and home on the weekends. So we talked every day. Our conversations were really good. It was really easy, you know, no pressure or anything like that. And we kind of got to know each other, your typical like first time texting people, whatever. And he would like send me pictures of where he was in the country. It was just really cool. So that was in December. So January rolls around. Oh, no, I first met in December. Anyways, it was the beginning of January. So he got back in town, and he had said, hey, I'm in town this weekend. I didn't know if maybe you wanted to go get ice cream. Cold weather, but we got ice cream. You want to go to ice cream, or, you know, just hang out for a little bit, maybe drive around or something. And the night he asked me to hang out was the night, at midnight that night, it would start the day that my dad had passed away. That was the 1 year of when he had passed away that following day. I think it was on a Friday. He asked me to hang out, so Saturday would have been a year that my dad was gone. And I was just kind of alone all Friday. I was just like, not in a hard place by any means, but, you just get kind of emotional. That time of the year rolls back around and you go over all the things in your head, what was happening in the year before. And I was like, I don't know. I think I might just stay in tonight, maybe next weekend or something. And he said, okay, no problem. I hope you have a good evening. Was really sweet about it. I didn't tell him why. So that was probably like 7 o'clock. And maybe an hour later, I just had this wave to like text him and say, you know what? Yeah, let's hang out. Let's do something. It could be good to, have a distraction or something. I just like felt very inclined to text him and see if he was still available. And to this day, I still think it was like, my dad like pushing me to like, hey, like go hang out with him. It'll be fine. Like, that kind of stuff. So that like urge was just like lingering. So I finally just texted him and said, hey, you know what? I'm actually available tonight. If you're still available and you haven't made plans, let's hang out. So he was like, I was just going over to a friend's house, but yeah, let me come pick you up. So he came and picked me up and we drove around for like 3 hours and just talked the whole time. It was really easy conversation. It was fun. I was completely myself, which I hadn't been that way in my previous relationship, and I just felt really good. And we just like got on a bunch of topics. I had asked him why he was single and about his previous relationship, and it was just really good. And I will never forget, I got into his Camaro, and it was so clean that I swore it was a rental car. I was like, oh my gosh, he literally rents his car. Like, what am I getting myself into? What in the world? Because he had like his phone and his phone charger up front and a coat in the back, and that's it. And I didn't say anything until like later, a couple weeks later. But anyways, so I ended up telling him, like the reason why I was not skeptical, but hesitant about hanging out with him that night. He was really supportive, really nice. And we just had a really good time. And not once did I think about our age difference when I was with him. Not once. It never crossed my mind. It never was a worry from that point on, ever. Until, like, I had to, like, tell my mom who I was dating. And that was a little nerve-wracking, but I'll get into that. So, from that point on, we were kind of inseparable. He would go out of town for work, come back in town, we'd hang out. Perfect. So, ever since that point, we just kind of considered ourselves together. It was just kind of perfect. So, with the age gap, I talked to him for a couple weeks. We were dating for a couple weeks, and I wanted to bring it up to my mom. I had kind of told her I was talking to someone and seeing someone. I never brought up the age difference topic until it was like really official, and we were definitely together, and I was really enjoying his company. And I remember telling her when she was at work, and she was like kind of weirded out by it. I had made sure to let her know about the dynamic of our relationship and how happy I was and how sweet he was and everything like that. And then I told her how old he was, and not gonna lie, she was like a little freaked out about it because I'm an only child. She was like, oh my gosh, my baby girl is dating this guy that's so much older. It definitely made her nervous. But the first time that she met him, everything was fine, because not that he doesn't act his age, he does, but he just seems so much in my age group that it's, normal for everyone, I guess. So I would always recommend, if you're dating someone older, obviously make sure it's good for you. Make sure they're in it for the right reasons, you're in it for the right reasons. And then just express to people that like friends and family, how well they take care of you and how you feel in that relationship, and you're safe and you're protected and you really like this person, and they'll support you or they won't. And if they don't, then just keep following her heart, and eventually they will come around. I promise. So that reaction was pretty normal for everyone else in my family that I had told. They were a little skeptical until I met them. And then now it's to the point where, like, no one thinks about it. and it's been like that for years. It's been awesome, and he's absolutely incredible. So that's kind of how we met and what my family thought about it. So next, I'll kind of go into how it helps the dynamic of a relationship. So I was at a point where I had experienced a toxic relationship where I was just verbally abused, and I just was in a point of being so low, and you cry every night and you're up all hours of the night thinking about what they're doing, and just the trust issues were insane. So I was at a point in my life where I wanted someone who, excuse my language, but had their shit together. And Jerry was that way. He had a great job. He had a great head on his shoulders. He has had experience in relationships before. He's been cheated on before and experienced what it's like to be with someone who's toxic. And I think that makes anyone appreciate a good relationship. So we just really worked. I mean, he's very different from me in the sense of how he shows excitement and enthusiasm. But I don't know, we just work so well together. He's more of a reserved personality to a point, and I'm very outgoing and very loud and kind of obnoxious, and he likes that in me because we balance each other really well. So that was really good. It worked from the beginning, and I would tell you, in 5 years, I could count on one hand how many major fights that we've had. Of course, we have like little disagreements every now and then, but like, our communication is really good. If I'm upset about something or he's upset about something, we always talk about it to each other and come up with a resolution, and then that's it. We've talked about it, we're done. And I think that's the most important thing in a relationship to work, is communication. And everyone has different ways of communicating, so it's very important to be receptive of that and really understand how someone else understands things. And I think that's why it works so well, is I understand how he communicates, and we just have made it work, and it's been easy and amazing and perfect and so refreshing because it's so different from what I was used to. So it's been awesome. I just admire the age difference. So with a little bit more age, he's had more life experiences than I have in relationships. So he actually has a son from a previous marriage, and they got pregnant when they were pretty young, when they were 20. So Dallas is his son and my stepson. And Dallas just turned, so crazy, he just turned 19. So that's another thing that a lot of people ask me about, because the age difference between Jerry and I really isn't much of a big deal. But having a stepson who's 19 and I'm 18. Oh my gosh, I don't even know. 19. He just turned 19, I think. Yeah. Anyways, and me being 26, obviously I'm closer to age to Dallas than I am to Jerry. So a lot of people think that's really interesting. And right off the bat, people are like, oh, that's so weird. And it's easy to think that. Like, when I just think about the facts, yeah, I could see where that would definitely look weird and sound weird. But, I was around when I came into Dallas's life when he was 14. So we've just always kind of established the stepmother-stepson relationship. So it's never been weird to us. We joke about it sometimes, and some people joke about it, but at the end of the day, I'm his stepmom. He respects my authority. He never crosses any kind of lines. He's an awesome kid. He is absolutely incredible. Good grades, good head on his shoulders. He's just a really good kid. And also, him and I had different high school experiences. He has gone to a really small town high school with very few people in his class, where I went to a public high school in Springfield with 5 high schools, 1,600 to 2,000 students. So my experiences in high school were way different than his. So that definitely creates a barrier between us and just helps maintain homeostasis. I don't know, that's a weird word to use, but anyways, so that was another aspect of a relationship that was kind of hard to address with like my family, is, yes, I have this older boyfriend, fiance, husband now, but he also has a stepson who is older, I guess you could say, and that's definitely adjustment for people, for sure. But it's turned out amazing. He's a great stepson. I love him very much. And it just works out really well for all of us. So that's how it is. So that's kind of my story, how Jerry and I met, how we work together. Our dynamic in our household is amazing. And the advice that I have to people who are dating someone with a larger age gap is just to live in the moment, to be very present in that relationship, and don't let age hold you back. If age is holding you back and you're really questioning after spending time with them and it's still a thought in your head that you think is weird, then it's not meant to be. Because if that's still in your head after getting to know them, it's going to remain in your head and a thought in your head. So just recognize that that relationship is not for you. You know, love is love, and I don't think there's any limit on age. You know, it does get to a point where I would think it's weird, but every person is different. But our age gap is perfect, and it's worked really well for us. The only thing that's kind of not been a burden, but been a little bit harder to accept is we're currently trying to have a baby. And that's definitely a different dynamic to think about, because I'm 26, Jerry just turned 39. So, you know, him having a baby, you know, when he's 40, I can definitely see where that's like, oh man, you know, like I just want to enjoy my wife. But we're both really excited to have a baby, and that's just how it worked out for us. So, that is my story with dating someone older. So love whoever you love, and don't let age hold you back unless it holds you back. So that is my advice. He's absolutely amazing. I could never picture myself with someone who treats me better than he does. He's an angel, and I love him very much. He's all over everything. Look how cute this picture is. Oh my gosh, that is the sweetest. I almost want my hair back like that at highlights, but he's just amazing. So I might try to bring him into a video at some point. He's totally like supportive of me making YouTube videos and stuff, but it's just not his thing. So I don't know how much I could drag him into it, and if I do, he won't be very exciting. Hopefully the first time that you see him in a video will be me telling him that I'm pregnant, and fingers crossed, hope that happens. So anyways, follow my channel, subscribe, leave comments if you have been in a relationship or are in a relationship like mine where there is an age difference. Tell me what the hardest thing was concerning the age difference, whether it was telling your family or you getting over it in your own head. Let me know how your experience was and how you got over it. I'd be very interested to read that. So this is my first video that's not really TTC, trying to conceive related, and I plan on doing more. I was gonna do a like farm country house tour yesterday when I was off, but I just did not get it clean to where I wanted it to be for video. So I will be doing that soon. I'll probably do a tour of my sewing room, show you my armoire that I built that keep all my sewing stuff in, and also a video on a project that I did to make use of my wedding flowers and use them as decor in my house. So stay tuned for those. I should be getting another video up this week. Not sure what it's going to be about yet, but subscribe to my channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will see you next time. Bye!